Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nature and Divine channel. Today, we're continuing our deepening journey exploring the fascinating concept of life. This topic might seem strange at first. We all think that we know pretty well what life is. However, in the present times, with the rise of artificial intelligence and the advancements in robotics, we start to wonder if we are maybe witnessing the advent of a new form of life, one that we might be actually creating. So, in this video, I would like to give some keys to understanding what being alive really is about from physical and spiritual perspectives, and explore how the nature and the divine co create this unique phenomenon. Are you guys ready? So let's get started. Let's first give some definitions about life. Life is what distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter. It is characterized by growth, reproduction, and functional activity like moving, breathing, in a general sense, changing. And these characteristics are continuously maintained until they stop at what is commonly called death. In Latin, life translates to via, which means the path or the way. Isn't that interesting? The way has two meanings, right? It can either be understood as a road or a path, or as a manner or method, as in doing things a certain way. Here, we already have a double sense that has both physical and non physical meanings, indicating that life is indeed a complex phenomenon. An important aspect of life is that it is always found in organized entities that actually depend on other organized entities to sustain and transform themselves. An obvious example is animals eating plants, but we can also think of bees and flowers, for instance, relying on each other for food production and reproduction. This necessity for organization points at the central role of the body in life. And actually, no form of life is known to us that does not have a body. And all living bodies are based on DNA, the blueprint of life, encoded using four nucleotides A, T, C, and G. In comparison, we mentioned earlier artificial intelligence and robots. Computers operate on a binary base, 0 and 1. The last fundamental aspect of life that we would like to mention is that it is spontaneous. We just mentioned AI and robots again. Life does not wait to be prompted or programmed to act. It spontaneously does so, and often in unpredictable ways. This spontaneity points at the timing of life. And indeed, time is such an essential aspect of life to the point that we could almost suggest no life without time and maybe no time without life. So, speaking about time, we all have a perception of time as moving forward in a linear fashion. But also, if we pay close attention, we see that time also has some circular aspects. We've all seen these representations of time as a spiral, right? And we perceive these cycles in days and nights and seasons, but also in the periods that us humans have created for ourselves, like weeks and months and years, right? Essentially, this indicates that the shape of time is the reason for the flow or the rhythm that we perceive in life. And this rhythm can be found in every form of life. We see it in awake and sleep periods and in breathing, for instance. We conceive breathing as a succession of inhaling and exhaling air, but this movement is actually only a small piece of a much greater process. This continuous contraction and relaxation pattern is the fundamental vibration of the cosmos, and it exists everywhere and at every time. The shape of time is, of course, reflected in life, at least at its natural scale. All our biological processes are timed, effectively binding us to it. However, for our divine aspect, that part in us that can conceive such things as eternity or immortality, this cyclicity can at some point feel like an imprisonment. Who hasn't ever felt the need to break the cycle, the routine of life, and move on? When we reach that point, something pushes us in the back for a change. And we're suggesting here that this is in fact a desire that is triggered by our divine aspect in order to awake us in a state of life less bound to time. This new state of life can even be very different physically. Appearance and health can change drastically as the physical and the inner aspects of our being are linked to one another, and that the state of our life is essentially the result of the dynamic or the level of harmony that exists between them. A way to illustrate this process of changing states of life is the transformation of the caterpillar into a cocoon and then into a butterfly. It, of course, never dies physically through the process, but its state of life changes radically from crawling to flying. So it seems that life can be in different states, and we feel that it would be interesting to know or to have some ideas about how to change from one state to another. In order to investigate this aspect, let's bring back some of the conclusions of our video about consciousness. There, we clearly established that us humans have this particularity to possess a consciousness that is quite different from awareness and even self-awareness, and that this consciousness enables free will and our creative power. And this is what fundamentally sets us apart from other forms of life. This has some important implications in the fact that it allows us to use our consciousness to change our state of life. But how does that really work? Well, the use of our creative power is effectively what is called manifesting. Manifestation is an interesting concept. It also comes from Latin manifestus, which is made of manus, the hands, and fendere, to split. This might seem a little strange, but if we understand splitting as the effect of intelligence, which corresponds to the action of splitting thoughts to rationalize them, then we understand that manifestation is the process of turning non-physical into physical. Now let's also consider the universal cosmic law of cause and effect to try to understand the process by which life can change state. For forms of life that are aware or self-aware, like plants and animals, their state of life is conditioned by their environment. Essentially, if things change outside, it will cause their biology to adapt in order to sustain, effectively changing their state of life. Here, some examples could be animals that get in a particular state of life during winter by hibernating, or certain organisms that can adopt a resistance state when conditions degrade, and then get back to normal function when favorable conditions are restored. The environment also impacts conscious beings, like humans, of course. However, we also have the capability to change what we manifest, which can alter the environment and our state of life. Here we can think of making the decision to change our diet to strengthen our health, for instance, or to adopt a regular practice of meditation in order to establish a state of life more attuned with the higher aspects of existence. So to recap what was just explained, our state of life is the result of three main elements that we would like to consider here. Our consciousness, manifestation, which is the result of the use of our creative power, and the environment, which we can alter or impact with what we manifest. And these three aspects interact together through the law of cause and effect. And we're suggesting that if we let the environment be the driving cause for change in our life, then our state of life will remain bound to time and to fate. However, if we make consciousness the driving cause for change in our lives, then our state of life will allow us to fulfill our destiny, which is manifesting the divine, the eternal in our lives. In essence, we can say that our state of life is the reflection of our level of consciousness. In summary, I hope that I've been able to offer some interesting perspectives on life. It is indeed a complex phenomenon that we are all experiencing, and that seems to be the result of a subtle balance between physical and non-physical aspects. Time and its spiral shape plays a critical role in life. It is the reason for the cycles that we perceive and that we sometimes wish to break. One of the main keys to understanding our life is the essential role of consciousness. Our state of life is a direct reflection of our level of consciousness. And if we do not use our creative power, our existence remains bound to fate. It is by consciously manifesting differently that we can change our state of life and leverage the law of cause and effect in order to strongly establish it in a particular state. Well, thank you very much for joining me in this exploration of life. I really hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, please like it, leave us a comment, and subscribe to make sure to catch the next one. Also, if you feel that others would benefit from these ideas, don't hesitate to share this video, and I'll see you in the next one.